Hi, I'm Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy Segment Show. Also today in this segment, I'm at Depot Park in Laramie, Wyoming. Depot Park is just located on South 1st Street in Laramie, Wyoming. The park is located next to a Union Pacific rail yard, and also it is next to the historic Laramie Union Pacific Depot that is used as a museum and features some historic Union Pacific equipment such as a snowplow, steam locomotive, caboose, and bunk car. And this side is like the best seat in the house to rail fan and watch the Union Pacific trains go by as well. Alright, you can see right here two crossing signals. These are raised up, and I don't know what they would represent. Probably like an arch or something. But here they are next to the train display here at Depot Park in Laramie. What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 90,015. Union Pacific 900,015 was built by the Union Pacific shops in Pocatello, Idaho in 1959 and is a wedge snowplow. Originally, it was numbered 051. Also, it was built from a steam locomotive's tender 12C115 and later made into a snowplow and was used to clear lines over Sherman Summit and other places in the Rocky Mountains. Then, in 1959, it was renumbered 900,015 and it has been working in western Nebraska. It was then stationed in Wyoming in 1979. The Wyoming and Colorado Railroad bought the Union Pacific's Colmont branch in 1987, at which time it also acquired this snowplow. In 1989, the plow derailed in Fox Park, Wyoming, and sustaining serious structural damage. It was not repaired and returned to Laramie, Wyoming to be stored in the railroad yard. In 2011, the city of Laramie bought the snowplow and was relocated to Depot Park in Laramie, Wyoming and displayed with a train set put together as well. What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 535. Union Pacific 535 was built by Baldwin in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1903 and is the 217/90th steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 280 consolidation type steam locomotive and is a Harriman class steam locomotive. This locomotive was originally built for the Oregon Short Line Railroad and originally numbered 975 and was like a freight locomotive as well. Then, in 1915, the locomotive was renumbered 535. Then, in 1936, it was leased to the Union Pacific Railroad and kept the number. Then, in 1937, it was renumbered 6535. Then later on, the locomotive was retired and was put on display in LeBont Park in Laramie, Wyoming, and then in 2011, it was relocated to Depot Park in Laramie, Wyoming, and displayed with a train set put together. Also, it was soon given some makeover and a new coat of paint. Also, Union Pacific 535 is one of 21 surviving Union Pacific 280s in the world today, and it can be found here on display at Depot Park in Laramie, Wyoming, where it is seen today. What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 06778. Union Pacific 906-117 was built by the Ralston Steel Car Company in Columbus, Ohio, and is a bunk car. The car was originally built as an A50-12 automobile car and was used for the Union Pacific Railroad and was originally numbered 152-456. Then, in 1937, it was renumbered 176-163 and it served throughout the Union Pacific system, carrying a variety of freight in addition to vehicles. In 1955, it was then converted to being a non-revenue six-man bunk car. and the interior was completely remodeled and windows were installed, and the car was renumbered 06778. Then in 1957 it was renumbered 906117. Then it was sold for scrap in 1976 and was subsequently bought by the Wyoming-Colorado Railroad. It stood in the Laramie yard until about 1987, and then it was converted into the ticket office for the railroad's passenger excursion trains and received its present paint scheme, security grilles, and decorative wood panels. Wyoming and Colorado's excursion train ceased in 1996 and the car was sold for scrap in 2008. But then the following year, a local campaign raised funds to buy the car from the salvager and donate it to the city of Laramie, Wyoming, and then sat on some sets of tracks with a gap the tracks are on between the wheels. Then in 2011, it was relocated to Depot Park in Laramie, Wyoming, and displayed with the train set put together.
What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 25232.
Union Pacific 25232 was built in 1952 and is a CA5 class steel caboose. Originally, it was numbered 3932. This caboose was one of the many steel Union Pacific cabooses used behind freight trains on the Union Pacific line. Then, in 1959, it was renumbered 25232. Also, this caboose has on the sides in the white rectangle saying in words, "There's no romance in taking a chance." Then, in 1986, it was retired and was relocated in Marysville, Kansas, and then it became the Laramie Visitors Information Center for the Chamber of Commerce, with its interior remodeled for office purposes until at least 2006. Then, in 2011, it was relocated to Depot Park in Laramie, Wyoming, and displayed with the train set put together as well, where it is seen today.
Okay, you can see right here looks like a flatbed once used by Union Pacific, or it may have been a speeder body broken down into a flat car, or flatbed I should say. Says it was built by Fairmount in Fairmount, Minnesota. And here it is next to the Laramie Depot Museum as well. Okay, you can see behind me is a signal, a semaphore signal that may have been once used by Union Pacific. It is here at the Laramie Depot in Laramie, Wyoming. Yeah, I like how they have it right here next to this garden. What you see right behind me is the Union Pacific Laramie Depot.
The Union Pacific Laramie Depot was built in 1924 and had been in this spot for a number of years in Laramie, Wyoming, and had served as the Union Pacific Freight and Passenger Depot here in Laramie, Wyoming, and the depot itself would be where passengers would arrive on a train coming from somewhere into Laramie or boarding a train going somewhere from Laramie on a Union Pacific passenger train, and would be where people would buy a ticket and wait for a train as well. Also, it was built to replace the town's original Union Pacific Depot hotel that was destroyed by fire in 1917. It served as Laramie's Union Pacific passenger depot until 1971. Then it was used as an Amtrak station and was used for Amtrak starting in 1971 to 1972 for the city of San Francisco, which was a passenger train named for the Union Pacific. Then from 1972 to 1983, the San Francisco Zephyr. It was used for the Pioneer from 1991 to 1997, and passenger service soon discontinued for the station. In 1985, the Union Pacific Railroad gave the depot to the Laramie Plains Museum, which transferred ownership to the Laramie Railroad Depot Association in 2009, and today it is used as a museum as well.
Okay, I'm going to show you all the exhibits inside the depot. I'll get behind the camera, show you all around. Here we go. Okay, so here we are going through the gallery. There's some train exhibits they have on display in here. Wow, look at all this. It's like that scale. All those old. And these are all model railroad displays. Some that are under construction as well. Yeah. Wow, look at all these old Union Pacific. That's the 318, which is in Golden, Colorado. Yeah. Also, here's the Heritage unit. It's modeled the 6919, which no longer exists. And that looks like the 840. Take this down. 3985, 844. Here's a model of the 3985. Well, I hope you all enjoyed learning about trains with me today in Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show. Also, I hope to see you all again in the next segment. And if you didn't subscribe to the channel yet, the subscribe button is down below the video screen. And if you didn't give the Facebook page a like yet, here's where you can find it. And if you didn't follow the Instagram page yet, here's where you can find it as well. And also, be sure to get your merch at teesprings.com. Link is in the description box below, along with the Facebook page and Instagram page. And remember to subscribe to the Train Guy. So this is Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show, signing out until next time. All aboard!